I got that adrenaline, venom, not knowing when I'm never gonna slow up.
So I just saw Venom 2, Let There Be Cinema, and it was about what I expected. When I saw Venom in 2018, I remember it being kind of a mess. It wasn't the worst superhero movie ever made, but it just had a confused identity and was cheesy. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but based on the trailers, it was looking to be more edgy in tone, drawing that Hot Topic crowd. This isn't your mom's superhero movie, there's vor in this one! And also, it suffered from really bad dialogue.
Like a turd in the wind.
But let's not forget the legendary soundtrack.
Never gonna slow up, venom.
Venom 2, by contrast, is nearly the opposite movie to Venom 1. From the trailers, you can tell that it's trying to be funny, but that is the key difference between these two movies. When you're not trying to be funny and you fail, it's hilarious. But when you are funny and you fail, it's annoying. Don't get me wrong, Venom 1 tried to have funny scenes, but they weren't. And that's most of what Venom 2 is. I liked the Woody Harrelson scenes because it was just stupid. Basically, the plot of this movie is that Eddie Brock and Venom get a divorce because Eddie can't do anything without Venom's help. So Venom just sticks on to other people and is like, I don't need no man. And he doesn't. You go, Venom. The movie does have a flow to it, where typically we'll go to Eddie's scene, Carnage scene, and Venom scene. And the pacing is good overall, mainly because this movie is only 90 minutes. Tom Hardy does not do a very good job as Eddie Brock. It's like a caricature of what someone would actually act like. Honestly, half the time, he just looks annoyed to be in the movie. Venom going to the gay nightclub was probably one of the only scenes I liked. They introduced Shrieker as well, who was Carnage's girlfriend, but them teaming up is terrible because the Venom goo is weak to sound and fire. All of the actors are really bad in this except for Woody Harrelson, who's also really bad. But he seems really into the role, so I don't want to make fun of him. The action overall was pretty forgettable, except for Carnage's prison break, where he does a funny spin move, and that was really cool. The comedic bits with Eddie, but Venom is giving commentary, is literally like watching your friend talk over the movie. It's obviously dubbed over, but there was no effort to really disguise that, or make it even sound semi-natural. The effects overall were decent. However, when they do the bits where Venom's head pops out of Eddie's shoulder, it looks really bad. The final fight was kind of a mess visually, like especially toward the end where they go outside, so it makes it hard to see everyone, but when it was inside it wasn't that bad. And it kind of sucked with the final fight because there's this really cool dynamic because they were fighting at church, so when the bell rings, the Venom goo goes away. But then after they do that twice, they break the bell and the fight just becomes a dumb CGI fight. The movie itself was also very loud. So loud, in fact, that the speaker in the theater I saw this in exploded, and we got free tickets for a different movie. I mean, we still finished this one, but when I went to see Evan Hansen, Venom 2 was playing in the theater next to us, and I know this because I could hear the rumbling from probably the same prison escape. Then I heard a crackle sound, and the movie was significantly quieter. I will be going over spoilers, so skip to the time code if you don't want spoilers. 3, 2, 1, you've been warned. So the end credit scene has Venom joining the MCU, where Venom then licks a screen at Tom Holland's face, so, that was pretty hot, I guess. I'm kind of mixed on this because, oh cool, Venom's in the MCU. But I like that these movies existed in a vacuum. Like, to me, they're kind of like kaiju movies, just a bit of dumb fun to throw on. The dumb quirks I mentioned will probably be gone in Venom 3 if that ever comes out. I mean, it might be a better movie, but it's sterilized. But that's a different video for a different day. Overall, I give Venom 2 a 6 out of 10. I also saw Dear Evan Hansen, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, it still wasn't good. So if you don't know the plot, Evan Hansen is a loser nerd who has no friends. He has to write letters to himself because of his therapist. When Connor Murphy steals a note and then kills himself, everyone thinks it's a suicide note written to Dear Evan Hansen. I'm so funny, it's crazy. Evan, being the social outcast and having severe anxiety, lies about his relationship with Connor, which he then uses to gain popularity from. The music overall wasn't that great. It didn't have that earworm effect that I would have preferred. Aside from Sincerely Me being the only real catchy one, the choreography as well was very lacking. There isn't really much to it. It's mostly just characters walking and sometimes moving their arms. Ben Platt plays Evan Hansen, who is supposed to be 17. Ben Platt is nearly 30. The music also starts so suddenly and is never built up to, and then it goes on for way too long. Like, there are parts where it sounds like it's going to dip out and then it just goes back into full force. Kind of like another musical I know. I want to clarify that I like stories where characters are morally questionable, but typically at some point, these characters are punished for their actions. Evan doesn't really get punished. Yeah, he's not as popular once he's found out, but he's not outwardly bullied or harassed because of it. It's just back to the status quo. He doesn't even really get called out. The song where they do call him out got taken out of the movie. It gets off too easy for my liking. If you like the musical, you probably won't like this. If you're like me and haven't seen the musical, you still probably will not like this. Overall, the movie was pretty bad. I give Dear Evan Hansen a 3 out of 10.